Yo guys, how's it going? It's Evade Dilute here, and I figured, I'd kick it back to my roots and do a nice thumbnail video and a tutorial on how to make, catchy thumbnails and maybe catch the eye so you get another view that every view counts. So, yeah, let's get into it. So basically, you want to make a new canvas or composition. You want to go for 4x3 or 1280 by 720, the classic. And I usually like to work with around 300 resolution just to keep it like high quality, and that way you can shrink it if need be, but we can talk about that in another video. But first of all, what you want to do is, if you press T, you can get some text, and then if you press X, you usually start with a black and white color palette. So if you press X, it'll flip your color palette from black to white. I'm gonna try to make this as tip packed as possible while keeping it short. It is pretty late here. I'm filming this at 4:20 on 4:20, so it's kind of ironic, but we won't talk about that. But yeah, what you want to do next is press D to reset it to black and white over here, and then get some text. So we'll say for this video we'll do tutorial, and then get whatever text you want. I recommend getting fonts from defont.com, and then that'll give you a lot of good fonts. I usually like to go over to serif and sans serif for basic fonts, and then techno section is my favorite, sci-fi, all these are great thumbnail fonts. I'll use this one for the thumbnail, matter of fact. Alright, so many years ago you see this, and then we'll go back into Photoshop since we got our font from Defont many years ago. Do that, and then we can either hold Control T or press it and hold Shift and upscale it that way, so you don't lose, like if I were to not hold Shift, it would just freeform like that, but you don't want that because you don't want to lose any you don't want it to lose its aspect ratio. Basically, I'm doing a bunch of nerd talk, but just hold Shift when you upscale everything in Photoshop. Anyways, I don't like to do that. I like to go just to resize it and just drag it to the right, and I like to keep my numbers even. So like that's too big, so I'm gonna go down to like 52 or like 48, go to 46. But say it was like 46 point, all these numbers, just round it off to 46, just so the edges are nice and sharp, because you see how it's soft right there. If you make that 46, it'll be nice and sharp. But anyways, next thing we need to do is we need to go to layer styling. So if you double click this layer and you go to gradient overlay, this is where all the magic happens. So I already have a bunch of pre-made gradients that I like to use, so we'll go ahead and use one that I have set up. So basically you want to get, you want to divide it and use your math that schools taught you. So you want to use gray down here, and then you want to go over to 22%, make another one by just clicking, and then you can edit the location right here. So just click, change the color to all white, and then see if I delete it there. See how it's at 28? If I do 22, it'll move there. So that's how you can stay track with me. But another one that's white, and then another one that's gray. So you want to have the gray one right at 51, and this gray, the lighter gray one at 50. So it kind of makes like a sharp look. I'll include the style in the description just because it's hard to keep up with. So the next thing you need to do is you need to open up a background or make a background. Alright, so now we have this. I'm gonna duplicate this layer. I can clear the layer styling off now because I'm not really gonna be using this layer. This is just to clip stuff too. So I'm gonna do something like that, upscale the text a lot, and then remember to round it off, so we'll do 142. And then if we hold Control and we click right here to the left of the name on the layer, it'll highlight it. I usually like to go down here, down to the bottom right, make a new layer, or hold Control Shift N, which will bring up that, and just click OK. And then one thing you can do is you can either get a white brush by pressing B and getting a really soft, the softest one they have, and doing that and like making it bound to the area you have selected, the brush. You can do it light or you can do it dark. I usually like to do it darker. In this case, I'm not even gonna mess with the brush in this case. But another thing you can do with this or the selection is you can right click and you can do stroke, and always do inside so the edges are sharp, because if you do outside you're gonna get these corners are gonna be like really like soft and not sharp. So change color to white. Now that effect alone does a lot. And then you can spot erase where it's needed. And then next thing I would say is your logo. So if I grab my logo, put that there, next thing we need to do is I'm gonna go to this, grab this pattern. So this is just a basic dot pattern, and I can make a video on this, a tutorial on how to make custom patterns if you guys wanted me to, but that's a whole nother video. If you want to see it, just let me know in the comments below. So you see how I added a color overlay and it has these dots everywhere. So if I rasterize this and then I select my logo, which is this, I'm gonna make it bigger so it's the size of the, about the size of the canvas. Alright, so also another tip, if you do select all, Control A or right click select all, and you use this middle one and this middle one at the top, it'll always center your work to your canvas or to whatever you have selected. So even if I have selected this and do that and that, it'll center it. Alright, so now that you have it sized up, you can left click this, hide it, go back to the pattern, and you can either right click and do select inverse, or you can do Control Shift I and then delete. And then basically that'll delete everything outside of what you had selected from your logo. And then obviously you can change the color. We'll do red. That'll be our theme for today, red. Next thing I would show you my final effects now. So basically you want to do Control A, Control Shift C, or after you have, you know, your whole thing at you have select all, go to edit and then go to copy merged and then paste it and then paste it again so you have two copies. And then what you want to do is you want to go to filter, blur, surface blur, and then you can either lower the opacity or you can make it, you can leave it or you can make it 50. I usually like to make it 50, but this one looks really clean with it, leaving it 100. So this basically gets rid of all the noise. If you look, just softens the image and blurs the surface. Once you have that done, you can either right click and merge down, or you can just do Control E and then Control J, or right click duplicate again, and then take the top layer and then sharpen it and just merge it down again. Then go back to filter, go to camera raw filter, and then this is where all of your judgment comes in. So I usually like to add a blue temperature, kick it back to the pink too, and the exposure and like all these numbers are all used. So I usually like to keep my exposure high, my contrast about the same. And don't mess with highlights or shadows, keep my whites high and my blacks low. And clarity is just like how sharp it is. I mean that pretty much right there has changed the whole thing. And then another little effect you can do is make a new layer. Make the layer black, go to render. Make sure you have black as your foreground color and white as your background color. Go to render, difference clouds, and then set it to overlay or soft light, and it'll kind of add like a little smoky effect. And then last thing you can do is add like a radial blur and add it to zoom, and then just, you know, spot erase everywhere but the edges, and that'll like bring the focus in on the main text. And there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If it did help you, if you would love to see more of this, drop a comment down below and make sure to turn those noties on, because we have a lot of good contents coming soon, especially on that grind to 1K. And it's kind of late here, so sorry if I'm mumbling a little bit, but y'all have a blessed day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.